Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome to a special edition of our Skype show tonight. Thank you again to Mayor Gabain for John Hari for arranging the show. We are tonight studying in preparation for Yom Kippur. We are less than 4 days away from the biggest day of the year of Yom Kippur, the holiest day for us in Jewish calendar. And we're in Porat Yosef Synagogue. I would like to dedicate tonight's shiur Lefuah Shlema for Rivka Bat Sheina and Gabriela Naomi Bat Leah Malka, Elisheva Bat Sheva Bat Rivka. Also, we'll be Hashem Luido Nishmat for my grandfather's Askara tomorrow night, Yaakov Ben Shalom Frecha, and also, what's the name here? Meir? Eloi Nishmat Malka Bat Eliezer. Baruch Hashem Tenichen Began Eden. Amen. Okay, so I'm going to start with you with a midrash. Okay, this is what a midrash on its own is mind-boggling and it's eye-opening to the time of Rosh Hashanah, of Kippur. We have a Aseret Yemei Tshuva. We've got 10 days of repentance. This is Hashem is now near to us, and it's an opportunity for us to do Tshuva. So there's a very unusual midrash, beautiful midrash. The midrash says like this: that when Yaakov Avinu came into Yitzchak, and he was dressed up as Esav, he put on the skins of the izim, the goat skins. And his father gave him a bracha. And it says, B'shah shenichnas Yaakov Avinu etzel aviv, nichnas imo Gan Eden. Kereach hasadeh. That was the reach which came in. V'yarech et begadav, v'yivarecheu. Now the Midrash says, you know what did Yitzchak Avinu smell? What did he smell? He smelled the smell of Gan Eden. And then the Midrash says something unusual. That Yitzchak Avinu actually had the smell, okay, of two of the greatest betrayers, apostates, or sinners in Am Yisrael. The two most famous. One of them is called Yosef Meshita, and one of them is called Yakum Ish Tzororot. You ever heard of those names? No. Okay, so it's good to learn these names. This is Mamash Mitzvah Talmud Torah. Okay, these are famous names. There's two biggest gangsters in the history of Am Yisrael. Okay, it's very important to learn the names. Much more important than any prime minister of any country that's going to be gone in a few years and no history remained of him. One is called Yosef Meshita. Yosef Meshita, I'm going to explain who he was. And the other one is Yosef Meshita and Yakum Ish Tzororot. And these two were Jews that were kofer. They became mumar and they were porek all mitzvot. And the Midrash says that this was the smell that Yitzchak Avinu smelled when he gave the brachot to Yaakov. Now let's just remember the scene over here. Okay, what happened? Yitzchak Avinu is about to die, and he wants to give over all his power of brachot for the future of his descendants to his oldest son, Esav. Yaakov does a disguise. He does a disguise and he comes in. Now Yitzchak is blind. He can't see his son and he has to feel him. He says, look, you sound like Yaakov, but you feel like Esav. And that's what the Pasuk says. He has the smell of Reach Begadav, smell of his clothes, and his Reach Gan Eden. And the Midrash learns not Begadav, Bogdav. What's Bogdav? Bogdav, how do you translate for me, Gilad? Bogdav?
The betrayers.
The betrayers, yeah, they are those people who betray their country. Bogdim. Who are these two famous Bogdim? Yosef Meshita and Yakum Ish Tzororot. Okay, so let's just explain who these two people are. And then we have to understand why is that the smell that you're smelling here. Now, the day of he gave the brachot, according to some opinions, was Rosh Hashanah. On the day of Rosh Hashanah, this is what he's smelling. Okay, so this is a story. Yosef Meshita. And the times, what happens? The Romans, they came and they conquered the Beit HaMikdash. Now they wanted to go in to the Kodesh HaKodeshim, into the Kodeshim, and they wanted to take, they saw all the kelim of the Beit HaMikdash, all the vessels. They wanted someone to go, but they're too scared to go in. So they said, who's going to go in? No one, everyone was scared to go in actually to the Beit HaMikdash to take. But they heard, the beautiful kelim, the shulchan, the menorah, mizbeach hazahav, and they wanted to take from the beautiful vessels of the Beit HaMikdash. But they were too scared to go in from the pachad, fear of the Shekhinah. So they sent in one of the Jews. They said, we need a volunteer to go in and to take us one of these things from the Beit HaMikdash. Okay? Now let's say imagine Ma'or, okay? Let's do it like a mashal. Put yourself in a position, right? But you've got the enemy of the Jews, okay? So let's just imagine like the Germans, the Nazis, right? And they're telling you, listen, I want you to go into the biggest synagogue in Berlin, okay? And we want to go inside and steal a Sefer Torah and bring us a Sefer Torah because we want to sell the jewelry, the silver, okay? You're going to go in and steal it and give it to the Germans. Think about what level of a Jew you have to be on to do that. And here, Yosef Meshita is going into the Kodashim of the Beit HaMikdash to steal menorah for the Kilim for the Romans. So here we're talking about like the lowest of the low, like it was. Hello, someone joined us?
Yeah, I'm just joining in.
Bachawad. Oh, is it Ben?
Jacob.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Jacob, welcome.
Thanks.
Okay, so we're telling the story of Yosef Meshita. So Yosef Meshita, he said, listen, I don't mind, I'll go in and I'll take for you something, but I have a condition. I want something for myself first. That means the first thing I want it for myself. So the Romans said, okay, fair enough, fair deal, go in, take something, first thing you take is yours, then bring us the rest. So he goes into the Kodesh of the Beit HaMikdash and he comes in, he brings out the menorah, the golden menorah, right? Very impressive thing. 1 meter 80, solid gold. It has golden flowers, golden knobs, golden goblets, all in the menorah. And the Romans are just like shocked and stunned by this. And they say, hey, we want that. You can't take that home. And then they start arguing. He said, what do you mean I'm taking it home? This is mine. I'm taking it. That's what we agreed on. He said, no, you don't need it. What are you going to do with that home? We're going to take it. Go take something else. He said, no, I'm not going back in. So they said to him, what do you mean you're going back in? You're going back in. He said, no, I'm not going back in. So go take something else. He said, listen, you know what? How much is it worth? The gold, solid gold. How much it weighs? 200 kilos. We'll give you the gold instead and go make whatever you want, buy whatever you want. We'll pay you money. He said, no, I'm not going in. They said, you know what? We'll give you 3 years of the taxes of the whole of Jerusalem for 3 years. All the taxes will be yours. That's a lot of money, okay? I don't know how much the budget takes, how much the government taxes are. But for 3 years of taxes from the whole city, that's a lot of money. And he said, I'm not going back in. He said, I'm going home, go in by yourself. He says, what, you think you're going to go home? You're not going to go home. You're going to go back in? Or we're going to stand, we're going to kill you. And this is now the turning point of Yosef Meshita, where he completely changes. And he says, I'm not going back in. And he said, you can do whatever you want, I'm not going back in. He said, you don't go back in, we're going to kill you. He said, kill me. I don't care. He said, you know, we're going to kill you. We're not going to do an electric chair, or we're not going to do it's not going to be a shootout. We're going to kill you slowly, slowly. We're going to torture you. And they said that they put him on a plow and they started sawing off his flesh with a knife, cutting off pieces of his flesh, telling him, go back in. And Yosef Meshita, he was just completely filled with the Kedusha of the Mikdash that he went into. And he just started crying. He said, oily. And they were cutting his flesh. And all he said was, oily sheikhasti et bor'i. He said he wasn't crying because it was pain for his hand. He was crying that I angered my God, my Creator. Oily v'daili sheikhasti el Elokai pam achat elo echnisenu pam shniya. I angered my Creator once, I'm not going to go in and anger him again. And the Midrash says that they as they were cutting off his flesh, that's all he was screaming, Vaili ve'oili. Oh no, that I angered my Creator, and that's how he died. And you see that this Jew did complete teshuvah. he was or whatever on the lowest level, where like the Jew would go in and steal from the Kuddashim, from the Beit HaMikdash, and go give it to the Romans. And you see, he was able to do tshuva in the last second. And the Midrash says that is the smell that Yaakov Avinu brought in with him when he went to Yitzchak on the day of Rosh Hashanah. That is Yosef Meshita, famous Baal Tshuva, biggest famous Baal Tshuva of Am Yisrael. The second story. And this is an unbelievable story, also brought down in the Gemara. Yakum Ish Tzorerot. Okay? Remember this name for the rest of your life. Very famous. Boged was named Yakum Ish Tzorerot. What was Yakum Ish Tzorerot? He was also in the time of Yossi ben Yoezer. Yossi ben Yoezer Ish Tzereda. He was in the Pirkei Avot in Perek Aleph, he appears. He was the big tzaddik. Yossi ben Yoezer Ish Tzereda was one of the big tzaddikim at the time of the Gemara, at the time of the Romans. And they took him out to be killed because he was teaching Torah. And because he was the Nasi at the time, that means he was the pillar of the whole generation, the greatest Talmid Chacham that there was, they took him out in public into the streets. And they had them riding in the streets, Rechav Asusya, on Shabbat. I think this was also on Yom Kippur, according to some parts of the Gemara. He was riding on Shabbat on Yom Kippur. The guy says Shabbat, I don't know if it was Yom Kippur, but he was riding on Shabbat on his horse. Next to him, Rabbi Yossi ben Yoezer, next to this big tzaddik, the Nasi of Israel, was riding on horse his nephew. His nephew was called Yakum Ish Tzorerot. Okay, famous name, remember that for the rest of your life. He was the biggest gangster in the history of the times of the Romans. He was working for the enemy. That's what he was doing. Okay, and he used to report people back to the offices and tell them about how to catch these people. And he was rewarded. And he was riding on his horse. Yakum Ish Tzorerot. He was riding on his horse next to Rabbi Yossi ben Yoezer Ish Tzereda. And he said to him, Uncle Yossi, he said, look what I'm riding and look what you're riding. Look what my master gave me. I got this fancy horse. I'm on the top. I've got the power. I've got the privilege. And now you're going to die. What was it worth it for you? Why did you do that? Teaching Torah, the Rabbim, they told you not to. You see they got power. You see they're going to kill you. Who's going to save you now? Who's going to save you? What did you do it for? Who did you do it for? Listen to what he answers him. He said to them, Amar le, im kach lemach'isav, kal v'chomer lo oseh retzono. He says to him, my dear nephew, Yakum, said, look, if this is how he rewards, if this is how HaKadosh Baruch Hu rewards those who go against his will and do against his Torah, that means look how he rewards you. Kal v'chomer, how much more so is he going to reward the people that do his will? Kal v'chomer lo oseh retzono. He said, look at me, you're getting reward now, you're riding on a horse, that's what you're impressed about, and you're going in front of the whole liman and they're giving you kavod and they give you some money. And look what you did, you angered Hashem. So if you angered Hashem and you're getting this reward, then look at imagine how much reward is going to get those people who serve Hashem and do the will of Hashem. And Yakum heard this from his uncle. And he still had he was a cheeky boy at the time. He had his chutzpah. And he said to him, Uncle Yossi, look, we were talking about reward. Look how you're suffering. You're going to die. You are one of the biggest tzaddikim in the generation. Who is more tzaddik than you? You are the Nasi. You are the Talmid Chacham. You risked your life. And look how you're being punished. You're going to die. Who's killing you? Hashem is killing you. Hashem is going to take you out to die. Look at your punishment. What did you gain by this? You're a loser. You're a loser. That's what he said to him. And Rabbi Yossi ben Yoezer replied, my dear nephew, this should be a lesson for you. If this is how God, Hashem, punishes those that do His ratzon, that do His will, kal v'chomer lemach'isav. If this is how Hashem rewards those that do His will, imagine how much more so you're going to be punished, or those who do against His will be punished. How much more so? This is how He's punishing me, and I'm trying to do Hashem's ratzon, and I'm trying to be a good person, and Hashem's punishing me. And that's how he punishes those who try to do as well. Then imagine how much more so he's going to punish those that do against as well. And when he heard that, Yakum ish tzororot, the words of Rabbi Yossi ben Yoezer, it penetrated his blood like the venom of a snake. He was totally shocked, and he just realized the mistake he's been made. He said, "Look, my uncle the tzaddik, and look how he's suffering. And I've been a Rasha, and Hashem's rewarding me here. That means how much more am I going to be punished, and how much more is he going to be rewarded?" And in that second, he decided, I'm making a change. I'm not going to carry on like this. And he said that Yakum ish tzororot. He was the biggest Avera man. Yeah, he was like the gangster in the downtown, the worst. He did everything. And he needed to do tshuva, and he wanted to do it quickly, and he wanted to do it immediately. And he did something which is famous, which is undone before. And he made up this method of tshuva. But he decided that he's deserving mita on all accounts of the Torah, chayiv mita, and all of the accounts. And he said he's going to do all of them on himself. So quickly, with the speed of zrizut, he built, how should we call it? He built a self-terminating death for himself. Okay, and there's 4 different punishments of death in the Torah. Does anybody know what they are?
שריפה, סקילה, הרג, חנק.
Yeah, how can I add Joe to the video?
I'm here.
Are you here? Oh, welcome.
Thank you. Sorry about timing.
Okay, so what are the 4? So Gilad, what are they again? Skila,
שריפה, הרג, חנק.
Herek, Chenek, Srefa, Herek, Chenek, and Skila. There's 4. So let's just again. The 4 punishments of death penalty. The one is the stoning, Hereg is by the sword, Srefa is burning by fire or molten lead, and the 4th one is Chenek, with strangulation. Okay, there's a whole parak in Sanhedrin how these 4 things are done. What did he do? He went and he built a pile of rocks and stones. He put a big beam and he stuck it into the ground, and he put a sword into the middle of the pile of rocks, and then he lit the whole thing on fire. He climbed onto the beam and he hung himself on the rope. And he said, now I'm gonna do my tshuva, and I'm gonna die l'shem shamayim. And he killed himself 4 times. He strangled himself with the rope. When the fire burnt the rope, so he fell down and onto the sword, killing himself, and onto the rocks of the stone to get stoning, and his body was burnt. And in that moment, he had all arba mitot bedin, all the 4 punishments of mitot bedin done to himself. And in that second, let me just read the midrash. קיים בעצמו 4 מיתות בדין, סקילה, שריפה, הרג וחנק. מה עשה? הביא קורה נאצה בארץ. קשר בחבל, ערך עצים, הקיפן גדר של אבנים. עשה מדורה, he lit a fire, ונעץ את החרב, he put the sword into the ground, באמצע, והצית את he lit the whole thing on fire, under the trees, and then he hung himself and he fell down. נתלה, he hung himself בקורה on the beam, and he נחנק, he was strangled. Before he got strangled, kidmato ha'esh, the fire burnt the rope. Nifseka ha'anima, the rope snapped. Nafal ha'esh, he fell onto the fire. Before he got burnt by the fire, kidmato cherev, the sword stabbed him. Nafal alav gader, and the whole pile of stones fell on top of him. Venisraf.
Who was this? Who was this? Who was this?
This was Yakum ish tzororot. He was one of the famous Jews, which was big Baal Avera, and he did the tshuva. This was his method of doing tshuva on himself. But he did Arba Midot Bedin.
But that's suicide.
It was suicide. Yeah. Thank you for Joe's. Joe's asking, how can you do suicide? The Torah forbids doing suicide. So before anyone gets any ideas, don't try this at home. Okay, this is not for doing at home. This do not do suicide. Suicide is against the Torah according to all level of halacha. There is some circumstances which would be allowed in order for Kiddush Hashem, and there's a few examples brought down in Gemara and the Navi. Here, this Midrash, this person wanted to do tshuva over, immediately because of the story what happened, which I mentioned before. And in this situation, this is what he did, and he did that, and his tshuva was accepted. And I'm telling this story just to bring out the point that you see one of the the most evil people in the story of Am Yisrael, that he did all the averot, and he was working for the enemy of the Romans, and he did this tshuva and he died. And at that time, his uncle Yossi ben Yoazar was taken out, the Nasi, he was taken out to be killed. Ra'a mitato pacha ba'avir. He actually saw his neshama leaving his body, and he pointed out and he said, "B'sha'a kala kidmani legan Eden." He said, "Look at this. My nephew was biggest Rasha, right? I was the Nasi of Am Yisrael, and I was teaching Torah Barabim, and I did everything. And he, in 1 second, because of his result to do tshuva, kadmani zele Gan Eden. He got to Gan Eden before me, b'sha'a kala." And that's the end of the Midrash. Okay, so let's just summarize over here. We see Yitzchak Avinu, when he has Yaakov Avinu coming to him to get the barachot, he says, "I can smell here the smell of these two people, these two bogdim, the two betrayers of Am Yisrael, Yakum Ish Sorerot and Yosef Meshita. These two Jews that not even famous or till tonight. I don't know if you've heard of them before. But why doesn't Yitzchak smell tzaddikim? Why is he smelling Gan Eden? Why is he not smelling Moshe Rabbeinu or David HaMelech? Or there's a lot of tzaddikim who has to smell these two Rashaim which did tshuva at the end of their lives. So I want to, before I mention the answer, I want to explain a yesod from different midrash. I want to bring a different midrash. And this is like the fundamental of a principle. This is a beautiful midrash, okay? There was Chachmei Atuna. Chachmei Atuna were the wise men of Greece. In Greece, they had the great philosophers of Plato and Aristotle, and the big thinkers of the world was in Greece. The big psychologists, the philosophers. And they heard about the wisdom of Yerushalayim, the wisdom of Jerusalem. And the Midrash says that one of them came down to Yerushalayim and wanted to speak to the children, to ask him to see how, what was the wisdom about Yerushalayim, what's special about it, what they gained from it. And the Midrash says he asked him a question. He found the boy, little boy, young boy, and he said to him, "Look, I've got 2 pieces of goat's cheese. Goat's cheese. This is my question for you. Can you tell me which cheese is from a black goat and which cheese is from a white goat?" That was the question. All right.
Are we meant to know? Are we meant to go?
Do you have any ideas, Joe? How are you going to answer that question? No, bathroom.
Okay, I've got one. You take it's off the cuff, no pun intended. You take the lamb of one of the goats, and you see which cheese it goes. See which cheese it goes to.
Right. So. So he's saying like so he's saying like this. He's saying there's no goats over here. The goats are different. They're in Athens. Okay. And he's just got 2 pieces of cheese here, and you have to predict which one is from the mother goat, which is mother's black, and which one is mother's white. Okay. I don't know why the racial interest in here is, but that was the question he asked him. Now the Major says, what did the child respond? And what's the child going to say to such a question? But the answer is more unusual than the question. And the child says, "Just a minute, Mr. Wise Philosopher." And he runs over, and he goes to the kids. Comes back with 2 eggs. And he says, "Mr. Greek Philosopher, I've got 2 eggs over here. Can you tell me which is from a white chicken and which one is from a black chicken?" And that was the end of the Midrash. And the Greek philosopher goes back amazed with the wisdom of the child from Jerusalem. And that's the end of the Midrash, which has unbelievable for interpretation. What is the Midrash trying to tell us? Okay, and it sounds like a little story of nursery rhymes, blah blah, black sheep. Do you have any? Tell me what the cheese is. But this is actually Torah. And when we're telling this story, we're actually studying v'dibarta bam, becoming the mitzvah of the Torah. This is a mitzvah of Torah Kedusha. What's the Torah trying to tell us? So I heard this unbelievable explanation from I think it's Rabbi Yitzchak Blazer. And this is really the principle, a foundation to understanding Yom Kippur. And with this, we're going to try and explain the Midrash of Yosef Meshita. And he says that the wise men of Athens, the Greek philosophers, they were asking something much more deeper than goats and cheese. And they were saying like this. He said, you Jews, what is special about you Jews? He says, I know Jews. I live in Greece. And we have Jews where we come from. But they're not Jews like you in Jerusalem. They don't look like you. They don't talk like you. They're dangerous like you. They look like me. They eat like me. And they do what we do in Greece. There's nothing different from you. And he said, listen, I understand maybe why you're different. But why is he different? He's not observant. He doesn't follow the Torah. He doesn't follow me. So why is he a Jew, a chosen nation? Why is he chosen? Why is he different from me? And he said, I asked him, he said, why are you different? What do? You do the same thing as me. You eat like me. You go to the same places as me. We have fun together. We talk together. You don't observe anything. What's the difference between you and me? And he says to me, Mr. Paolo.
זה הניצוץ. There is a ניצוץ.
Oh, so 1 second. So he says to me, you know what the difference between me and you is? Who is your father? Your grandfathers are the Greeks. But I said, my grandfather was Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. I'm the heritage of the holy nations, of the holy Avot, the Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, the great Avram. So the Greek philosopher came along and he asked this little boy in Jerusalem. He said to me, what's the difference? The parents, his great parents are from a white goat, and my grandparents are from a black goat. But look at the cheese; it's the same result. The result from the black goat and the white goat is the same cheese. Tastes the same, smells the same. You cannot tell the difference because we do the same thing. Me and him, I go play golf. He plays golf. I go to eat. He goes to eat. We don't do anything different. This is what he's saying. His grandfather was a kadosh. His grandfather, Aram Yitzchak Yaakov. Who cares about the grandfather? Who cares? Once you got the end product, the result is the goat. Then probably the end result is the cheese. The cheese tastes the same. Who cares what the grandfather is? And the boy, Muslim, said to this philosopher, he said, you got the picture of the wrong. He said, don't look at the cheese. Am Yisrael is not a piece of cheese. Am Yisrael is like the two eggs. He said, what's the egg? You see the egg, it looks the same on the outside. And if you crack it open, the egg which comes from a white chicken, it's got an egg yolk and egg white. And the egg which comes from a black chicken is the same. Egg yolk and egg white. Crack it open. There's a big difference. He said, if the chicken sits in the egg and warms up the egg and heats up the egg and lays on it for 21 days, then the egg will hatch. And when the egg hatches, then you'll be able to see the chick which comes out of the egg. And then you'll see, does the chick is a white chick or is it a black chick? You'll see where it comes from. And he answered this Greek guy from Jerusalem, from Athens, this Greek philosopher. He says, you don't understand. Okay, the Jews, maybe he looks like that on the outside. Maybe he might look like you, he might talk like you, he might do the same things as you, but he's completely different. And you see the Jew when he comes, wherever he is in the world, who comes on Yom Kippur and he can do tshuva. He warms up the heart. You hear a bit of Torah. You hear some Torah, you get inspired, and you see that he can do things that completely turn around, and you see where he comes from. And you see the Jew can come one day on Yom Kippur and completely changed and be aroused. And I heard this story, just listen to this. I heard this story just on Shabbat. My neighbor lives next door to me. He works for seminars. He teaches Judaism on Shabbat, or Shabbat seminars to young people, young Jewish people. And he said one of his seminars, he met a young Jewish lady. And he said that he was so impressed by this lady. All he heard was her making a bracha. She made one bracha on a fruit. Maybe it was an apple. But she was so involved into this bracha. The way just she said it was so full of emotion. She had her soul into this bracha. You saw her like speaking to Hashem through this bracha. It was amazing. Like never seen anything like this. This guy is an old man. He speaks at the Kilis right next. I know who he is, and he knows a lot of great people. And he was so impressed by this girl. He just came up and he said, "Please tell me what's your name. Where are you from?" And she said to him, "My name is something like Rashida, and I come from Akhul Farkhan." Yeah. And he's like, "What do you mean?" And he realized that this girl has come from an Arab village. And she was a really Arab girl. And he said, "What's the story?" And he started to her and he says, "Listen, I was born in the Arab village. My mom married me. My grandmother married me. And I was supposed to marry a Muslim. And all I knew when I grew up was that I'm Jewish. And my mother used to tell me, said, we didn't keep anything. There's nothing that we kept. Nothing. There's not. We married Arabs. We lived in Arab life. But on the day of Kippur, I remember my mom telling me, Binti, my daughter, Binti, Yom Kippur. This is our holy day. This Kippur. We don't do anything. We don't go to work. We don't make anything. We don't do anything. Just say, this is our day. This is our holy day. And when I was supposed to get married, I had no problem marrying an Arab. That's all I knew. I only had friends. I wasn't going to marry. But these what they want to get married on the deal.
Rabbi Netanel, can you please repeat the last 4 sentences? Just
Okay, thank you, Gilad, for asking me to repeat. Where was I up to?
The holy day.
So,
this is the day that they came.
Yeah, so her mother said to her, "Listen, my daughter, Binti, my daughter, Yom Kadisha, today is our holy day. We don't do anything on Kippur. We stay at home. We don't go to work. We don't cook. We don't do anything. We're just staying at home." And that's all I knew. That was Kippur, the only thing I had in my life. And I was supposed to marry an Arab. I was 17 years old, and I had no problem marrying a Muslim. I had a Muslim life. I grew up Muslim every day. That's all I knew. I didn't know anyone else. But the Goyim Shamam, they said that I have to get married on the day of Yom Kippur. And I said, I'm not getting married on Yom Kippur. That's the one thing I'm not doing. That's the only thing I have left of my identity. I'm not losing that. And they said to her, you're not getting married, then there's a consequence for that. And she realized that her life was at risk and she was going to be killed for it. And she ran away. She ran away to the northern part of Jerusalem. She got found by the IDF base, some soldiers, and they sent her to Rechasim. And she stayed with a Jewish family, religious family, and that's why she became Jewish and observant. And that's how she came to meet my neighbor in this Shabbat seminar. And she became observant, and actually she married a Ben Torah and living a Torah family. And this is what she was inspired. And she was making this bracha on this apple when my neighbor met her. And he said, "Look at this. Where did she go? Where did she come from? Do you think everything is all lost? All the Judaism was lost in her. Her grandmother, 3rd generation in the Arab Muslim, ready to marry a Muslim. She didn't even think twice about it. And what kept her back? That one thing in mitzvah of Kippur, that she was willing to give up everything for that and not lose that spark of Judaism." So that's what brought her back. And he said, that is what he said to the Greek philosophers. He said, listen, she might look Muslim, she might smell Muslim, she might want to marry a Muslim. But if you just reach her heart and you just warm her up a little bit, and you see that it's the egg that hatches and out comes the beautiful white chicken. You see that it comes from, this is the daughter of Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. This is the daughter of Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. She has a Jewish neshama, she's holy. And he says, this is the 2 stories of Yakum Ish Tzoreda and Yosef Meshita. He was willing to steal from the Kodesh Kadashim to really give it back to the Romans. He was willing to do all Averot and actually report his own uncle, the Nasi of Israel, to the Romans. But when they did Shuvah, when they were inspired by the moment of the words of the Chacham to do Shuvah, that's it, they were back. They hatched out of the shell and they showed their true colors, now they were white. And he said that is what Yaakov Avinu spelled. The smell was Begadav. What's Bogdav? Bogdav are the rebels, the rebellious, the betrayers. But Begadav means clothes. What's clothes? Clothes is something external. It's not your pneumiut. It's not the inside of you, who you really are. You can change your clothes. You might look the same, you might smell the same, but change your clothes and you see inside deep down, you are the Jewish neshama, the pure. Lev tahor b'rei Elokim. You see the true Jewish neshama of who you are. And that is who we are, the chosen people. We are Am Yisrael, Am Avot. And that's what we say, Ani yeshana v'libi er. A Jew can be asleep spiritually, but his heart is always there. And just to be aroused a little bit, be a little bit inspired, and then he can completely turn around and come back. And that is what Am Yisrael is about. That is the day of Kippur. On the day of Kippur, there's nothing stopping us. We are here, we can reach Am Yisrael, we can reach HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We can come back, and Hashem is waiting for us to hear us. All he wants to hear is Avinu Malkeinu. Maybe I'll end off with one halacha. Maybe the Rambam in halachot for Gitin. I mean, what happens? There's a halacha. Sorry, can you hear me still?
Yep.
Yeah, everyone. Okay. So maybe I'll just explain. I'll just talk about.
Rabbi Netanel, my apologies, just that the last minute or so was lost.
Okay, thank you, Gilad. Please stop me if it happens.
Oh wait, I heard it. It was loud and clear.
Okay, so we're just saying that Ani Yeshana v'libi er, Am Yisrael, even if they're asleep spiritually, but the soul is alive, and you just allow a little bit of arousing them, and that's how I come back. And that's the answer that's explained in Midrash. That's what he's telling the Greek Athens. That's why we are chosen people. Not because of who our forefathers are, because that the Jew is still inside us, and we can always have child that shall come back. And that's how you see these two, these two big Bal Tshuva of Am Yisrael, that they came back when they got inspired. They just took off their clothes, and that's what we say in Shir Hashirim. Al tiruni shani shecharchoret. Don't look at me that I'm blackened. Shishazafatni hashamesh. I've just been tanned by the sun. I'm really a white man. I've just been blackened by the sun. It means that you just need to pick up a diamond. It's in the black. It's in the coals. You just polish it a bit, and it will shine. Just clean it up. That's what we need. And the Jewish neshama is inside us, and everyone wants to come. And this is the time we're coming ready to become to Kadosh Baruch Hu, come closer. I had a lesson from the Rambam. There's a halachot in Rambam, halachot gitin. What happens if somebody needs to get divorced? And there's a halachah that he needs to give the get beratzon. He has to give it with goodwill. Okay, there's sometimes that needs to be done, and he can't be forced him to give a get. Now there is certain circumstances that a person will have to force his wife, and if he doesn't want to, Beit Din will force him. Okay, in extreme circumstances, he will get. The Rambam says that you punish him, you beat him up till he says Arotzeani. You can't give it against his will. He has to say Rotzeani, but he doesn't want to say Rotzeani. So what do? You just punch him up until he says Rotzeani. That's the lashon of Rambam. Makim oto ad she'omer Rotzeani. So everyone explains, what do you mean, Rambam? He has to give it with his own will. If you're forcing him to say, I want to give it, Rotzeani, then he doesn't want it. You're just forcing him to say, I want it. So how have you gained anything by that? And this is very famous. He says, every Jew deep down wants to do the right thing. Everyone wants to be right. Everyone wants to be a good person. Sometimes it's difficult. Everyone's got their own different agendas, and sometimes he doesn't. But even this person who doesn't want to give a get to his wife, he needs to. Really deep down, he wants to do the right thing. So once you force it out of him to say Rotzeani, we suspect that really he really doesn't want to. He really needs it. And also another halacha, Ozarua. Ozarua is a posek halacha. There's a halacha of Yibum. Are you familiar with the mitzvah of Yibum?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to fill you in. There's a famous mitzvah in the Torah. If you got two brothers, and one of them dies and he's married, and he dies without any children. So what does his wife do? So there's a mitzvah on the brother to marry the wife of the deceased brother. And why is that? Lakim Shem, to provide the name for his brother. So it's continuing the name of his brother. Okay, that's the mitzvah of Yibum. If he has children, then he doesn't do any mitzvah of Yibum because he already has children after him. But if he doesn't have any children, then his wife has to marry. That is the concept of Yibum. Now, there's this halachic question. What happens if a person... did I lose you? Gilad? Oh,
Gilad's gone.
I'm
okay.
still here.
Oh, thank you, Yaakov. So I'm continuing. So you know the mitzvah of Yibum. So the Azra has a halachic question. He says, let me ask you a question. What happens if you got two brothers? One of them is a mumar, is a kofer apikores, Rasha. He goes to the Far East. He does avodah zarah, does all averot, everything, and then he dies. Now his wife is Jewish. He's Jewish, and he's got no children. Does his brother have still a mitzvah of Yibum? Should he still do mitzvah? The son is going to be called after his dead father. His father was a Rasha, and it's like a continuation of the neshama of his father. Does he have a mitzvah to do Yibum or not? Why should we want to have a continuation of the name, Lakim Shmo, of this guy who's a Mumar, who's a Rasha? Yes, thank you, Meir. B'chavod. Why?
Because of mitzvah.
Because? So the Ozarua, he says, yes, there is a mitzvah Lakim Shem. Lakim Shem is to establish the name of this dead brother. Why do you want to establish the mother of a neshama, of a guy who's a Rasha? And the answer is this is what we're speaking about. Am Yisrael, the Rasha, the Averot is anything external. It's just clothes. It's not part of our essential identity. You can take off that externality. He says his brother, okay, maybe his father, because whatever influence he was, he did Averot. But it's not genuinely who he is. And that's what we see from Yosef Meshita and Yakum Ish Tzorerot, that they turned around the whole life at the moment of inspiration. And of course, we want this continuation of this neshama, of the Jewish neshama, to come back. And Hashem, this is what we're praying for. At the time of Kippur, we're going to be standing in Kol Nidrei B'ezrat Hashem in 4 days. And we're going to be singing Avinu Malkeinu. And this is the time where we have to turn our hearts to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Rahman Ali Babai, and say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Lev Torah Al Elokim. I want to be a better Jew. I want to be a better person. I want to be a better husband, a better father, a better person who I am. And say, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because I love you. And look at the inside of me who I really am. So I want to wish you everybody a Gmar Chatima Tova, and thank you for joining me.
We hope we're seeing you.
I hope you enjoyed this year. Yeah, Meir wants to try and arrange B'ezrat Hashem a shiur for us before Sukkot. A special halacha shiur. I had to choose Arba Minim, what to look for in Etrog and Ulav. Interesting shiur B'ezrat Hashem. Please God on Sunday morning. So if everyone interested, looking forward to also.
Can I just take the opportunity? And I know I speak for everyone when I say we really enjoy your shiurim, and we're truly grateful, Rabbi. They're amazing. We know you put a lot of effort into it.
Thank you, Joe.
So grateful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. I love you, all of you. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to give the shiur. Again, love from me as well. I'm happy that you all come to enjoy it, and I'm happy you're enjoying it. With Hashem, we'll try and do the right thing and be written for a good year and happy.
Amen. 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 God bless.
Good night.